One of the most important breakthroughs in human connection, the radio, the first form of wireless and long-distance communication. People have built their lives around radio. Since the first radio broadcasting license was issued in 1920, its accessibility has made it an essential commute companion in big cities. The tech behind radio is about 100 years old, and it hasn't changed much. It still boils down to someone with a microphone, playing music, sharing stories, and reaching out to an audience.
If you are a radio station that just plays 10 songs in a row, I'm not sure that the future for you is very bright.
That's James Cridland. He's a radio futurologist.
Radio isn't a fashion, and it always is consistent.
And that's Rosie Smith. She works with Radiodays Asia.
The unique selling point of radio is that human connection and that shared experience. That's what radio is really, really good at. If you look at radio back many years ago, radio was going to die because television came along, and then radio was going to die because the Walkman came along, and then Napster came along, and then Spotify came along, and radio was going to die. And some people talk about radio as being, unkillable. Radio is still tremendously popular because it's a habit, because it's a medium that reaches people in their cars, in places where you can't read Facebook. The amount of change that we can expect in radio is actually going to be far slower than anybody would think, just because habits are really hard to break.
But I think where the boundary is being pushed right now, and this is going into something James knows a lot about, is podcasting.
So we've heard about podcasts. What are they? Well, it's a digital audio file made available for download. It goes to a computer or your mobile device and is typically available as a series. New episodes are released regularly on all platforms and on all sorts of topics. So have podcasts killed the radio star? Quite the opposite.
Because they are taking old formats or formats that were popular at one time, dramas and formats like that, radio plays, and they're changing the way content is made and developed and the time listened, and they are really innovating in the space. But in return, that innovation on podcasting is now influencing the content on radio as well and making radio broadcasters think more about how they produce content and again, how long their content should be.
And the way we connect with the radio, well, that's evolved. Broadcasted out of studios, reaching families in the kitchen, bringing together sports fans and rivals alike. And it still keeps us company in those traffic jams, at the office, and even on the ride home. But are we in danger of losing that human connection?
There are some people who are using technology to get rid of the human element of radio, and I think that's a big mistake. If the only thing that you do is you play music and you have no announcers, you have no news, you have no weather, you have nothing else, you can see that that is not a compelling experience in comparison to something like Spotify. Then that's why radio is so successful, because it's human connection and a shared experience, and that won't go away.
People understand radio. There's nothing difficult about it. There's nothing that they have to learn. There is just radio, and they love it.